Okay, we're all set.
Beth, what did you say?
You said we're all set. Can you,
Oh.
does everybody else hear me?
I can barely hear you, Beth.
Very quiet, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
It's fine. We'll
I
just
don't want
start.
to say anything anyway.
Okay, now come to session, the committee, the Common Council City Operations Committee. It's April 12th, 2021. We'll start with a roll call. In fact, I'm going to waive the roll call if everyone has if everyone's all right with that. I can see that everyone's here. So Chairperson McFarland, Councilor Canales, Councilor Gibbs, and Mayor Rosenquist are all here.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. And so the first item we have on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 City Operations Committee. Put forth by Councilor Gibbs. Any second? Councilor Canales? And I assume everyone has had a chance to review that. Does anyone have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Number 2, we have the draft resolution, the appointment of Jacob Avery to the Plattsburgh Public Library Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion? Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Any discussion on this item?
The library board approached, the library board approached me asking for recommendation for their board vacancy. I asked if they had any recommendations. They put forth Jacob Avery, Mr. Avery's name came across my desk. I did talk to Mr. Avery about that. He is very active in our community, works at SUNY Plattsburgh, and I'd be happy for him to serve on this board.
Yes, I can say I also spoke to Mr. Avery. He has been very active in the community, trying to get more involved. So I think he'd be a great addition to the library board. I will also note for everyone's knowledge that the library board currently has 2 vacancies. So we still have one open space if anyone does know someone that would be interested in being on the library board of trustees. But I think Mr. Avery would be a great addition. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. And now item number 2.2, draft resolution, appointment of Monticia Prather to the Board of Ethics. Do I have a motion? Moved by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Any discussion on this item?
Yes, as I've been informed, there's a vacancy on the Board of Ethics. I approached Ms. Prather to gauge interest. She confirmed with her company that was not going to be any conflict, and I'd move to make that appointment.
I see we had a resume from Jacob Avery and a letter of interest from him, but I didn't see anything in the supporting documents, unless I missed it, from her. I don't know anything about Monticia. Could you fill me in a little bit? I don't know her.
Monticia's local. She's grown up here. She's raising her family here. Pretty active in the community. She's also serves on the board of United Way, I believe.
What does she do for a living, do you know?
She works at a bank. I don't want to say what bank she works at because I don't remember off the top of my head.
So how or in what way is she qualified to serve in this capacity?
The same way that Patrick McFarland is. It's
a little different, I guess, because as a counselor, there has to be one counselor on it. But yeah, Thomas Moran is the other person on the ethics board.
Yeah. Typically, you find people who they can serve on the board and upstanding citizen, and you kind of trust that they are, based on their experience and community activism there, they'd be a good fit for the board. So Monticia is somebody who is active in our community and would be a good fit here.
Who is she replacing?
She's replacing Jim McCartney. Jim McCartney was the principal at CVES. Great guy, great member of the ethics board. He resigned last year because he was just too busy with COVID stuff going on with the school district.
Okay.
And as I said, the other member is Tom Moran. He's another great guy. He is retired, but he was the professor of ethics at SUNY Plattsburgh, I believe.
And this board doesn't meet on a regular basis. This board meets at the request, based on an ethics request or an ethics review.
Yeah, that's correct. When someone has a question about generally conflicts of interest, but other ethical concerns, they can ask for a recommendation or from the ethics board. They don't do investigations or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward. And Tom Moran certainly has a wide knowledge of ethical considerations, has a lot of research to draw upon. So it's pretty straightforward, and it leads to like good discussion, and we will give like an opinion with a recommendation on different avenues someone could go and what our opinion would be on certain aspects. Any further discussion on this item?
But just to add, Monticia, she is a manager she's the branch manager for a local bank. She has her bachelor's in business administration and management from SUNY. She's heavily involved with Relay for Life and the North Country Honor Flight, among many other volunteering initiatives in the country or in the county. She's extremely avid in the community. So I'm good.
Perfect. I'm not familiar with her personally, but she sounds great. So I have no problem putting her forth through to the council for a vote. Chris, if she's interested, feel free to give her my number if she has any questions on the ethics board and things of that nature.
Yeah, that was the initial discussion early on in the year, Counselor, when I was wondering what the actual requirements were and time constraints and, the whole sense of the board itself, which is why, so there was a couple other people that I was looking to recommend as well, but I don't think that they worked out at the time.
Perfect. Is there any other questions or discussions on this item? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion passes. And now moving on to item number 3. Number 3.1 is item number 3 is the city clerk. 3.1 is discussion city clerk collection reports, pages 5 through 6. So Sylvia, why don't you just give us a brief update of your report here?
It's just the monthly income for March. Overall, we took in a little over $7,500. $7,100, a little over $7,100 went to the city revenue general fund, and the remainder went to different state agencies that we owe monies to. New York State Department of Health gets the marriage license fee. They get a portion of the fee, and Department of Ags and Marketing get a portion of the dog licensing fees as well. Speaking of the dog licenses fees, we all know that we're having a dog contest this month, right? Spread the word to your neighbors. Get them in.
Jennifer,
Get a nice little doggy bag.
What's the contest?
You just submit a beautiful picture of your dog or a quirky one, and it's just going to be kind of like a random draw just to get people interested in their dog. Should be licensed, but not just for the sake of licensing the dog, but if your dog gets lost, it's easier to track. It proves that your dog has had rabies. If your dog gets loose and bites a child or an adult or anybody. So it's really important for people to license their dogs. And it's an opportunity to get a little thank you for doing that. Your dogs are your best friends.
As Sylvia knows, I finally got around to licensing my dog earlier this year, or maybe late last year. I can't remember, but it was relatively recent.
You can still put a picture in of him, Pat. He could still be a lucky winner.
Maybe I'll do that.
You might have neighbors. You could give them a little nudge.
Ooh, my neighbor has a huge Great Dane. It's a gorgeous dog. He might have already submitted his. Any questions for Sylvia regarding her reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to draft resolution, approval of fee structure for venue rentals, pages 7 through 8. Do I have a motion? Councilor Canales and seconded by Councilor Gibbs. Any discussion on this item? I actually had a question, Mr. Mayor. I see on here that we have the portable stage is $500 for an event, and the harborside stage is $100 per day. And it's my understanding that those are two of the same things. Now, one's obviously for an event.
One is different. One is the trailer, the tractor trailer that needs to be hauled around. And the other one is that stationary large steel structure that's in the parking lot.
Okay, so that's the harborside stage.
Which one are you talking about?
Large steel structure that's in the parking lot.
Yes, harborside stage.
And I know when Mayor Reed had proposed that, he did tout up a lot that it was portable, although I doubt it's easily so.
Yeah, I mean, it's portable in the sense that it's not bolted to the ground or cemented in concrete sitting there, and it can be moved. But it's one of those things where it's not going to be moved at the whim of any particular group or event. It really is. It's a task to move it. It can be moved though, right? But that's the challenge, is actually picking it up and moving it to another location. It's very large, as you know.
It's very sturdily built, and the portable stage is older. And my understanding, is that in good repair?
I believe, Sylvia, those are the risers, correct? Those are it's not the trailer, but it's the more this. You can set it up a little bit. It kind of lifts up off the ground, and you can. There's a platform
they use for the parade at Battle of Plattsburgh, or
the holiday parade is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yes, same thing.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And what would be the process of reserving this? That's done to the city clerk's office, correct?
Yeah, there's an application online that the request goes through. You submit it with all of the information. Actually, we just got one today for an event downtown. And you need to also submit any application fees, any confirmation with Clinton County Health Department regarding COVID operations for your event, any requests for the city resources outlined here, and then it gets submitted to the city clerk's office, who then coordinates it.
No, I guess the biggest question I had regarding this are, how is this, what's the change from, if I remember correctly?
Say that again. You're kind of there's a little background noise there, Patrick. Can you say that again?
How are these, I can see the prices here listed, for, trailer stage, 500 a day, harborside stage, 100 a day. How is that different from the charges that were there before?
Some of these didn't have charges at all, right? Some of them were just, you can, show up and kind of use the resource and not have to pay for it, or, you'd pay a little bit for it. But this is more reserving. This is more about reserving the space for your organization's use. And then any ancillary costs that may be incurred based on city resources. Some of these, for example, the gazebo rentals, that was never in there, so that's an increase. The beach lawn was never in there, so that's an increase. Utilities was in there, cones were in there, barricades were in there. I don't believe that in the past we've, or maybe we have, Sylvia, maybe you can tell me, well, I know one event this year, we were asked to provide EMS service at an event, and we did the math, and we just can't do it. It's just too pricey for the city to do it. So if people need EMS service at their event, we do charge them for that as well. I don't believe that last year we charged for like a BMI licensing either, which that's a cost that the city incurs. That if an event wants to host music, they can do it under our license.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that means that, because I remember last year, I can think of one instance where the promoter of the event had to go out and get the BMI license or ASCAP. So now it's just we have it and you can go under ours.
I believe that's how we've set it up right now. What was the Harborside stage last year, Silvio? How much was that rent? Oh no, actually, was it rented last year for an amount?
The Harborside stage?
Yeah, no, it was.
No, it wasn't.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And mind you, like these are at the end of the day, these are not free to the city, right? The city does have to come out and do work or clean up or prepare or, follow up behind the event to wrap things up or to clean up for the next event that happens. So these are not necessarily like free to use.
Now, are these prices set to sort of like cover the city costs, or for a supply and demand scenario because too many people are?
No, I mean, like any time we set a fee, we're not looking to rake cash in. We're really just looking to cover our own costs. And we get it. Like we understand, like it's not the ideal situation to have to charge for these things. But when we talk about the expense to the city and what the city has to do to prepare it or to clean up or to go out there and spend staff time, the city does incur a cost, and all we're asking is just that it's covered, or even some of it is just partially covered for us to have to do that.
Does anyone else have any questions or anything like that? Hearing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. And then last, we have 3.3, a draft resolution, approval of fee structure for food trucks, cart vendors. Do I have a motion? Moved by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, as many of you know, the local law titled food trucks is going to public hearing on Thursday. The idea being that we essentially just normalize the food truck operation in the city of Plattsburgh. A lot of people have been coming to Sylvia regarding food truck operation, and we want to get some type of structure around it so that we can start to promote the operation of food trucks in the city for specific events, specific areas. We have like lacrosse tournaments and soccer tournaments and baseball tournaments, things like that, where we want to encourage the operation of food trucks at these locations. We have a beach opening that we're planning for. We want to encourage food trucks to operate and to attract people at these types of events. And so the local law, after it gets passed, we are going to need to apply some type of permitting or fee structure to that local law. The recommendation that we're making is that we have 3 different types of permits. And mind you, every single permit ends at the end of the year. It doesn't carry through for a yearly cycle, similar to what the health department does, where if I want a health department permit and I get it in July, it ends in December. That's it. That's what I pay. I pay the full price regardless of when I get it. That's the rule here. Same thing with this. If there's 3 different types of permits, there's a monthly, a seasonal, and a yearly permit. The monthly permit, we're asking $98 to operate within a month. The seasonal permit, we're asking any consecutive 6 months in the year. That's a different fee. And then the yearly permit is January through December for 31st. These fees are comparable to every other municipality who has this level of, actually it's a little bit cheaper. For example, if you take a look at Glens Falls, for example, their yearly permit is about the same. Their seasonal permit is a little bit more than what we're asking. And I don't believe that they even have a monthly permit. But thinking about some of the events that we have, like Mayor's Cup, for example, we have Mayor's Cup and 4th of July in the same month. If somebody wants to operate just in July, then, we're saying just get your monthly permit, right? It is cheaper if you get a seasonal permit or is it? It's cheaper if you get a seasonal permit than say if you get, or sorry, it's cheaper if you get a yearly permit than say a seasonal permit. But the idea is that we do want to encourage food trucks to operate in the city.
Now, what are there costs associated now? Like say 2 years ago when we had Mayor's Cup, were there permits or fees charged then?
I know that. Go ahead, Sylvia. Sorry.
There have always been vendor fees for food trucks. The problem with it, or the constriction of it, was that it had to be in a downtown business district. So unless it was a city event, why would you bring a food truck into the city? Because you're basically stuck between Broad and Cornelia, and then Durkee, and I believe it's like Oak. So, and the rule was you could be in front of a business for 15 minutes, and if they came out and asked you to move, you had to move. Well, by the time a food truck gets food prepared for people to purchase, that 15 minutes is up. And so this new law allows more flexibility. It allows them to go to parks. If there's a fishing tournament, they can go down to the marinas. They can go down to Wilcox Dock. They can go to Bailey Avenue. It's just they have more area to serve. So before, when it was a $60 weekly fee, people could sometimes get 2 events depending on, when Mayor's Cup and 4th of July, or the yearly fee, which was $300, and that was based on, we had 5 events in the city, hoping to always get 6, so they would feel like, oh, they got a little bit of a break, but it kind of never worked out. So I think this is a really good idea, and I think it's a really fair pricing scale.
Now, if I pay $725 and get the yearly permit, that means I can bring my food truck to
If
any
there's
event.
Foxville and there's a sledding event, you could go down there in the winter. Then if you wanted to participate in a fishing tournament, it would be up to you you would be looking at where could I go?
You just can't, the caveat, you can't operate in a residential district.
Right.
So I can just park in front of your house, Patrick, and serve people coffee as they drive by as a drive-in kind of thing. So yeah, I can't.
The local law actually defines where they're allowed, what districts they're allowed to market in, but it's a lot more flexible than what it currently is.
Right.
But I guess thank you. That was very informative. But so if I buy a pass, let's say the yearly fee, and that means I will definitely be able to go to Mayor's Cup, right? There might not be some situation where Mayor's Cup might be an extra fee or anything like that.
No, that's the notion, is that we want to be able to open this up for people to operate a food truck in the city whenever we have an event. That's the whole idea here. And Mayor's Cup is a little bit different because there's certain areas and designated areas that they can operate, but that doesn't prevent them from operating any place else in the city anytime throughout the year. They have they had, I know the last few years they had a lacrosse tournament at the Oval, and I think maybe 1 truck has ever shown up there. And I've even had people reach out and say, hey, do you want to have a food truck out there to serve hot dogs or hamburgers or whatever? But it's one of those things where it's becoming pretty standard to operate in that sense. We want to make those types of events a little bit more attractive and for both the city and vendors and businesses that are starting up. And the beach, for example, the Mayor's Cup is looking at doing more events at the beach, and we have one vendor out there that serves very light food along with whatever else they're serving in terms of alcohol. So we want to be able to encourage people to operate at the beach during these large events as well.
Sounds great to me. And if I want to just come in for Mayor's Cup or one event, that means I'm buying a monthly permit, right? There's no
You
specific-
can, I'm sure you can, and that'd be up to you as a business to say, what's the best bang for my buck here if I want to just try it out, if I want to try out some type of pass. The most events that we have in the month is Mayor's Cup, and that doesn't prevent people from showing up at ball games or sporting events or anything like that, right? Because they can also show up to those events and vend to help make up the fee that they're spending on the permit and everything else in terms of how they're doing business. But yeah, if you want to just show up for Mayor's Cup and 4th of July because that there's going to be a lot of people around that week spending those 2 weekends, yeah, absolutely. Then buy a monthly permit and make up the money during that time. And we try to make it flexible. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up pulling this local law last time, was because we realized that it didn't allow for the flexibility of these levels of permitting. It was like all or nothing.
And what are the penalties for violations of this? Let's say I bring a food truck in and I didn't get a permit, or I got a monthly permit for the month of June, but I decided to keep operating my truck in July.
Yeah, I mean, you are operating outside of the guidelines. It is a ticket. And for it, I don't know the exact penalty in terms of the monetary penalty, but it is a ticket. You will get ticketed. And these permits are, when you get the permit, just like your health department permit or your certificate of authority to collect sales tax, they do need to be displayed publicly in plain sight so people can see that you are permitted to operate, just like you would with the health department license.
Perfect. Well, I have no further questions. Does anyone else have any questions or discussion items? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. And that's the last item we have on the agenda. Now we're moving on to new business. Does anyone have any items they'd like to discuss or bring to the attention of the committee?
I believe that we have an executive session, Dean.
Yeah, there was a need for executive session based on a matter which would imperil public safety if publicly disclosed.
So why don't we do this? As far as I know, there's no one here for public comment. But just in case there is, why don't we do public comment and then go into executive session? Because if anyone is waiting, I don't want them to wait while we go into executive session.
That's fine.
So moving on to item number 5, public comment. Is there anyone here?
Oh, this is also anybody who I do see a number of other counselors on the line here as well, and they can use this opportunity for public comment if they'd like as well. But counselor, that is entirely up to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely open to anyone. If Mr. Schneller has public comment, he might be very emotional about food trucks for all I know. Okay, so hearing none, I will make a motion to go into executive session for whatever reason Dean put on the record earlier. And that's seconded by Councilor Canales. So all in favor of that motion? Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. So I believe we have another link to go into executive session. And Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure. I have no problem inviting Councilor Dallin and Counselor Moore. in his
No,
report.
I also believe that they have had the links. Okay, Counselor Talon's given us a thumbs up. They also have the links, and to remind everybody, this is a committee meeting of the Common Council, so it is open to every counselor to join that this public meeting as well as any executive sessions.
Perfect. So we will be back when we're done the executive session.
Great, thank you.
Mrs. Beth? All right, it appears that everyone is back. Well, everyone that's from the committee at least is back from executive session. Can I take a motion to return from executive session? Moved by Counselor Gibbs, seconded by Counselor Canales. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. All opposed? So we've come back from executive sessions now 6:32. There's nothing left on the agenda, so I will take a motion to adjourn. Counselor Gibbs and Counselor Canales, all in favor?
Hi.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries and we're adjourned at 6:33.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right,
everyone.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.